All right, guys, we are live. It is Sunday, July 7th, MMAOB Daily Podcast. I am your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I'm joined by my good friend and my co-host here, Mr. Big Marcel. You've risen to the friend level now, man. So you have been for a while. Just joking.
Blessed.
How you been, man?
I'm doing well, man. I mean, was no UFC this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind sometimes, but at the same time, yesterday night I was like, and I really didn't feel like paying like $25 for Masvidal Diaz. I really didn't feel that way, so I didn't do it. Yeah, and I was like, okay, watching some videos on YouTube because our country, Netherlands, we just beat Turkey, so watch some of those clips, from interviews and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, Canada's going to go to the semifinals, the Copa America, which I don't know if it's as big as the Euro. I guess it's comparable.
It's comparable, yeah.
They're playing Argentina. I hate to say it, guys, but we're probably going to lose again. So it is what it is. But the fact they made it this far is pretty cool, to be honest with you. So definitely cool. Yeah, I had a good week off, man. I went on a little trip with my daughter. It was nice to get away for a couple days, recharge the battery somewhat, although I was taking care of an infant the whole time, so that wasn't easy. But I'm back here, man. I'm ready to go. We're locked and loaded. We're going to preview UFC Denver, and they added a bunch of fights to the card, so it has 11 fights now, which still is not as many as
very necessary.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had that tweet last week. I would want to say, and I was like, yeah, they should just cancel this card because at that point there were 8 fights on it, so they've added 3 more, pretty good fights. I still don't think, and then there's some other fights that got changed with like late notice injuries and stuff. I still don't think it's like, I think it's a decent card, honestly, like what we have left. But I think it's more of an Apex card. That's honestly what I think about this card. And if I was a fan, and the UFC hasn't been in Denver, I want. Is the last one? Was it the 20th Denver?
Yeah, the year one against TKZ. Yeah.
This is kind of a disappointing return, in my opinion. Again, I'm not hating on fights. I love it, guys. I watch it every week, but. Let's be honest. Some of these cards lately have not been the greatest. I mean, that's just the truth. Like 303 was not the greatest card. It really wasn't. I felt like I don't know. People like, yeah, the Pereira knockout was awesome. It kind of saved the night, but Marcel, it wasn't that great, right? And
no, I'm fully with you, dude. I'm fully.
And that's the problem right now. I feel like, and I've been one of the guys that, and same of you, we've been the same. We've been like, yeah, we're still going to watch. We love it, but at some point, it's like these are not. It's not the best product for the fans that are paying tickets. That's my thing. If it's just an Apex card for TV, I understand. But if I was paying like a couple $100 for a ticket here, I don't know.
Yeah,
go ahead.
We are not the audience the UFC has to think about because we watch it all the time. They have to attract the casuals, I think. And with this card, I think it's hard to attract the casuals. You know what I mean? So it's plus you're going to location. I think you should put. Listen, there are some good fighters on this card and some good fights on this card, but it lacks some excitement, Even listen, Namajunas Barber as a main event wasn't that exciting either way, in my opinion, as well. So I mean, Cortez doesn't make it anything better, in my opinion, but at the same time, it wasn't already the biggest main event. I felt like, and the co-main event was supposed to be Mike Malott against Gilbert Urbina. So
yeah, we lost that fight. I actually forgot we even had that fight in this card. I'm looking right now at the tickets. Like, dude, it's. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I was just curious on it. I haven't even looked at this yet, but we're not here to. Yeah, we like the UFC. Let's be honest; it's the best promotion
for sure.
But we're also like pretty objective about this stuff, and like I'm just looking at the tickets right now. I mean, dude, there's so many tickets left. Look, bro, there's tons of tickets left. It's like pretty much everywhere you can get a ticket.
Listen, I always say to people, if you
look, cheap as fuck, $250 for ringside. That's cheap.
Yeah. I always tell people, don't go for fights to a UFC event. Go for the experience. Because if you go for fight, listen. If you go to pay-per-view, I 100% understand. That you want to have certain fights on it, but for fight night. Go just for the experience. Experience there is nothing. It's true. Listen, I'm definitely not always agreeing with Dana, but it's true what he says. There's nothing like a live UFC event. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I've been to so many now. I was just gonna say these tickets aren't as much as I thought they would be. Like, I would pay that if I but again, I'm in the audience. I don't know. I'm not a casual, right?
What's the first row? What's the first row? First row.
Can you not see this?
That's ground. Yeah, that.
This one.
Oh, that's more expensive. Actually.
Yeah, but you have a better view because it's a little elevated.
Yeah.
Actually, these are actually better view. It's like
200, not that bad.
200. Like there's still like the cheapest ones are 75. Anyways, listen, I thought it'd be a little. I actually thought it'd be more for some reason, but at the same time, like again, it's not the deepest card, you know. But I will say I'm thankful that they listened and they added fights because they could have just went with like I don't know. Could they have gone with 8 fights? I don't think it's enough. Like I don't know.
I don't think for a fight. If it was the Apex, I don't think it matters. But I think on location, probably not, man.
Guys, I was just curious. I haven't actually looked, and then I saw that. So again, if I was there, because I'm such a hardcore fan, I would pay. You know, I'd go with my friends probably if I could convince them. But
also,
okay, we're not the target audience, right?
Yeah, I always say to my friends if they are going, like they're not like media or whatever. If you're going, go a day earlier. Also go to the weigh-ins. Know where the hotel is or something. Go to close that. Maybe you meet some people. You know, it's just fun. You know, you got to make it a complete experience.
Agreed. Okay, let's get some comments, guys. Tristan, what's up, man? Glad to have you here. Octon updates. Chris, what's up, man? Yeah, what happened to Salikhov? Why did he not get a fight?
I don't know, but he's not getting a fight booked on this card. He also doesn't have another one for another card or anything, but he's not going to be on the card.
Wait, who was he supposed to fight again? What was the original?
The original opponent was Chris Duncan, and then it was Markel Medeiros, and now nothing. Nobody.
That sucks. We checked that. I checked it for you. Yeah, that was not a great fight. On this card, again, I think there's some good fights. It's just missing that star power. It really is.
Listen, I love C-Rod against Erosa. I think that's a fun one. We got I think even Montel Jackson against the Blackshear was been added late is a fun one. Same for Josh Van against Charles Johnson. There's some fun fights on this card, man. I mean,
yeah, I'm looking at it. Like I'll count it up. I mean, 1, 2, 3.
I don't know.
I would say like I would probably say like 7 or 8 are pretty good. To be honest,
I don't know if Bonfim against Loosa is a good idea at altitude, but hey, who am I?
Yeah, no, that's the one thing. All right, anyways, let's enough of this.
But by the way,
smart
from the UFC to not book any fight above 170 or 185.
There's no heavyweights. We're not going to have what's his name, Marcin Tybura, and wasn't Tybura, Romanov. Yeah, and Romanov. Remember that fight that was in Utah? That's an elevation too. All right, guys. I say we get into the preview. So I'm going to use Tapology for the Bauer because UFCstats.com is not updated, Marcel. So we'll use Tapology. I ask you all the time, what's your out of 10 going into the card, and then we compare it after. Going into the card, what are you thinking? A 6?
It's a 6.5. You know, I don't have any high expectations of the card. I'll watch it. I hate the time. How late it starts. It starts at fucking 10 p.m. East Coast.
Wait, what? Are you
main
serious?
card? Main card,
oh,
yeah.
Man. Well, it's in Denver, so I kind of understand, I guess.
Yeah, but the fuck, it's just because it's an ESPN card, man. So that's why it is again. That's always the shit with ESPN cards, you know. I always hope, like, please, let it be ESPN Plus, please. No ESPN. So you know.
So for you, that's 8, 11, or 10 is
4 a.m.
Yeah. Get those Red Bulls ready, or Monsters, whatever you got.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the preview, guys. So we're gonna go and use the Tapology order, like I said. We'll go from the bottom up. I think this is pretty accurate as to what it will end up being. The order. It looks like it's pretty accurate. So
maybe they will switch the Montel Damon in between the two women fights. You know, that's what I think they're gonna do. They haven't done it yet.
That's what I have here on Tapology. So that's what I'll just use it like whatever we have there. I see what you're saying. Sorry, my bad. The other two, I see what you're saying. Actually, let me see if I have my notes right.
They don't do that often, you know.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's get into it, guys. We'll break it down one by one. Start at the bottom, work our way up. All right. So, first fight that we expect to be the first fight, we have the middleweights going at it as Josh Fremd takes on Andre Petroski, and right now Fremd is actually a slight favorite, minus 125. Petroski plus 105. I'll let you start, Mr. Marcel. What are you thinking here for this one?
Yeah, Josh, although Josh, he was never my friend against Andre, not the Pedro Arlovsky. Petroski. So bad. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Yeah, man. I mean, Petroski comes off 2 losses, right? Against Pereira and against Malkoun, that weird as TKO loss. Fremd, yeah, he looked decent against not that great competition, to be honest, man. I honestly think that Petroski is gonna grind in this fight. I think he wins the decision. I don't think it will be a pretty fight to watch, to be honest, but I think Petroski goes back on track in this one.
So you're taking the underdog. You got a rough. I don't know.
Right off the bat.
the dog works anymore. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a sketchy fight. Like, both guys they're flawed fighters, you know. I'll start with Petroski. Like, man, that last fight was kind of weird, right? With the Malkoon thing, whatever happened there, hit his head off the guy's hip bone. I've never seen that. You know what it says here on Tapology? Ground strikes after hard collision. Jeez, fuck it. And they got knocked out before that by Pereira. We'll give him a pass. I mean, the guy's decent. Like, you know, he's well rounded. I guess he's got pretty good wrestling, pretty good submissions. I still question the gas tank, though. I really do. Like, I know he's pulled off these third round submissions at times, and you're like, wow, this guy, you know, he can do it. But again, they were against lower level guys. Since he's moved up in competition, like, I don't know. And it's an elevation too. So like, I think that's kind of why they booked him for this card. And then he takes on Fremd, who trains in Denver, so he's already used to that elevation. And you know, he's not great by any means, but I wouldn't say he like gasses necessarily in his fights. I'll be honest, I'm not too high in both of these guys, to be honest, at this point. I'm kind of leaning Fremd though, Marcel. God, I mean, this is a kind of a coin flip fight. I can see why the odds are close. I think Petroski open is a slight favorite, by the way. So
you look really difficult.
Yeah, it's a close fight to call. Honestly, I'm leaning Fremd. That's my lean. It's just a weird one, man. It's a weird one. I think it should be minus 110 each, personally. So I mean, people are going with Fremd. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but I'm not super confident, guys. It's Petroski chinning now, maybe a little bit, you know. But that last fight was just weird. All right, let's go to the next fight here, guys. This is a new addition. Montel Jackson taking on Damon Monster Blackshear. Bantamweight fight. Man, I love this division so much. I know you do too. This is the Bantamweight, right? Even the short notice, it's still at 135. Okay, minus 148 Jackson, plus 124 Blackshear. Yeah, I like both guys a lot. I think they're both really good fighters, man. I'll say that right now. Both good grapplers, obviously. I think Jackson has been one of the most underrated guys. Like, he hasn't broken through in the ranking set, but he's been close. He's had some setbacks. He's on a roll right now, though. He's coming off 4 straight wins. Brutally knocked out Yaya in the last fight. I mean, again, it's not a great one on paper because Yaya is kind of at the end of his career, but Yaya at that point had not been knocked out in like 10 years. So at the time, it was pretty good. And then he's been out for a year, obviously, but he had some good wins before that. Good wrestler. He has knockout power. Like the guy. And then Blackshear, man, great grappler, right? Really good grappler. I'm glad he's back in the UFC. Obviously, that guy was he was there. He's been in the UFC for a while, I guess. But I for whatever reason, like, I feel like he lost momentum and then got it back with that twister, right? He did lose to Batista, but it was really close fight, to be honest with you. It was very close, you know.
It was.
A few other, you know, takedowns or something. He could have won that fight. So he's been on a roll too, man. He's been finishing guys. He's looked really good. I really like him a lot. But at the same time, man, I just think Jackson's the more like well-rounded guy. I think Jackson's got the better striking. And I think Jackson can be the better wrestler as well, although he has been out wrestled at times. And that's the worry here, because you have guys like Brett Johns and I think it was Ricky Simone too that wrestled him, right? But you know, since those fights, he's been pretty dominant himself. So I'm leaning towards Jackson here, man. I think he's the rightful favorite in this fight. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one.
Same, pretty much. You know, I really like Montel Jackson. I think he's an underrated guy. The thing is, like, I got so many fights been falling off or falling through, not even his fault, that it takes some time for him to get into the rankings, you know. And I mean, I think he fought Ricky Simone when Ricky wasn't in the rankings yet, and also for Brad Johns. But he's a good fighter. I think he's pretty all around. For his opponent, Damon Blackshear, I think he's decent as well, you know. But I still favor Montel in this fight, man. I think Montel wins the fight. I think it goes to decision, but I'm picking Montel there.
Yeah, so we have the same pick there, guys. All right, let's go to the next fight here. We have women's flyweights, right? Luana Santos. Is it flyweight? Let me double check it. I think it is. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Luana Santos taking on. Well, I'll be nice to her today. Mariya Agapova. We'll talk about her in a second, Marcel. I don't want to say anything about her. The video that we saw with the window and the yelling, but I mentioned it anyways. We got Craig in the chat. What's up, brother? And we got Knox. You didn't miss too much. Marcel picked the dog in the first fight, and we both picked the favorite in the second fight. All right, so third fight here. All right, so Santos, big favorite here. Not that big. I mean, to be honest, I thought she'd be a bigger favorite. Mine's 285. Agapova plus 230. I'm going with Santos all the way. I mean, I really think she dominates this fight. I don't trust Agapova at all at this point of her career. I know she had like a nice start to her career, Marcel, with that little win streak she had going. She was destroying everyone. And then she's biggest favorite of all time against Shayna Dobson and loses.
Yeah.
Minus 14. She's just looked terrible since then. She's really fallen off the cliff. I don't trust her at all. I think the elevation is going to kill her in this fight. I think this is a bad fight for her in general against Luana Santos, she's good, dude. And again, she's one of these like young, attractive Brazilian killers that the UFC wants to promote. I kind of feel it's a weird placement of her on this card, though. I got to be honest with you. I don't really understand on this prelims for this Denver card. It's kind of weird, right? Don't you think? Like, don't you think she would have been better served like on a pay-per-view or something? I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking. Either way, I think she dominates, dude. I think she finishes this fight. Like, I'm pretty confident she finishes this fight. I'm thinking probably submission, like second, third round submission. Maybe it's ground and pound. I think Agapova will come with strong as she always does, but Santos has not really shown any huge weaknesses. And then as the fight goes on, Santos will take over. Agapova will gas and get finished. I'm pretty confident Santos finishes Agapova on this fight. What do you think?
Adam dreams about Luana Santos dominating. So
she's pretty hot, man. Let's be honest. Like, she's one of the better looking ones.
She looks pretty nice. She has some fun TikTok videos. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Mariya Agapova. It's just like she doesn't fight often enough, in my opinion. She had that good win over Sabina Mazo, where I think she knocked her out. But besides that, hasn't really looked great anymore, And Luana Santos, I gotta say, I'm also not convinced of Luana Santos, to be really honest, man. But at the same
I know you
time,
haven't been as convinced in her as like maybe Natalia and some of the other girls.
Yeah. But no, I'm serious, but I'm not really convinced by her yet. But still, she won her first two fights. I think this is a fight she should win as well. Mariya Agapova. Maybe she even can finish her, man. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe in the later rounds. But I'm picking Santos as well, obviously.
I mean, I agree. Like, Julian Miller has turned out to be a terrible prospect. Sadly, I thought she looked so good on Ultimate Fighter, and she's been terrible. And then Edgar, it's kind of fallen off the cliff too. So it's not the best wins, but again, I think there's some promise here. Again, I think that she's someone the UFC wants to push. So that's what I'm thinking. Kind of, I don't know. Well, it's mean, but Santos and Cortez. Yeah, I mean that would have been good. Cortez was supposed to fight Miranda Maverick next week, but she's fighting the main event. We'll talk about that in a sec. All right, man. We'll go to the next fight here, guys. We have a new fight here as well. Jasmine Jasudavicius. She was supposed to fight Viviane Araujo. Now she takes on Fatima Kline, CFFC champion, coming here. And she is making her debut on short notice, moving up a weight class. She was supposed to fight on Contender Series. She's moving up to 125 from 115 on a week's notice. We'll talk about this. I want to talk about this in a sec, but before I get into this fight, who were you going to pick in Araujo and Jasmine?
Probably Jasmine. By the way, I still have. Sure. I'm still confused how you North Americans are pronouncing the Kline's first name.
Is it Fatima or Fatima? I don't know.
Yeah, she calls herself Fatima, but over here we say Fatima. You know what I mean? So it's really confusing for me. But she says Fatima, so it's Fatima for her.
All right. I mean, I honestly have heard both pronunciations. So, well, I guess we'll see what they call her. Let's talk about the odds. So the odds, they opened with Jasmine as the favorite, and now the odds have flipped, and now you have Fatima's minus Fatima, whatever you want to call her, whatever her name is, minus
Fatima. Just call Fatima. Is good.
Fatima Kline minus 130, Jasmine plus 110. I mean, I'm Tristan has the question. I mean, to be honest with you, Marcel, I don't agree with it. And I feel like it's just really disrespectful towards Jasmine. Jasmine is being
strawweight, actually.
I know, and that's the other thing. Like, she's moving up in weight. Like, she's a good prospect. I watched her fights.
Double champ, yeah.
Yep. I mean, she's pretty, strong. Obviously, she did fight at flyweight too. I mean, we should say that.
Yeah,
but she's
double
more
champ.
I would say she's more of a strawweight, personally. Like, I don't think Jasmine could make 115. I don't think. At this point of her career, whereas this girl I think could, and she's younger too, right? Obviously, so I get that. Like, there's some things to like about her. She's a good prospect, really dominant grappler. Ground and pound skills are there, submission skills are there. I get it, but for me, like, dude, like, Jasmine's already in the UFC and she's doing well. She's coming off a record-setting performance against Priscilla Cachoeira, and I get Cachoeira is not a great fighter. I get that, guys, but it was still like she beat the fucking shit out of her. Like, it was one of the biggest beatdowns in a women's fight of all time, and got the finish. And she also has good wins against, like, Miranda Maverick's a good win, I would say too. The Julia Palastri win is aged pretty well. That girl's not bad. The Fernandez win is decent. Tracy Cortez fight was a very close fight. Like it was very, 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 very close. And Natalia Silva did dominate her. And I think that's kind of what maybe people are looking at here. The Natalia Silva fight where Natalia took her down and was able to control her. I don't know if Fatima could do that, Marcel, or Fatima, whatever you want to call her. I don't know if she can do that in this fight. I really don't. I'm not convinced. I think the odds are disrespectful right now. This girl's good. There's obviously a lot of money coming in on Kline. A lot of sharp money. The books had to make a move here and go with the switcheroo and switch the odds because Jasmine opened as the favorite. I'm still going to go with Jasmine. I'll take her as a dog. She's plus 110. I have to pick her, man. If she was coming off the loss to Cortez, even though I thought it was a close fight, I could see this. But coming off this win over Kessler where she just destroyed her, this doesn't really make sense to me. So I'm going with the Canadian, Marcel. I'm taking Jasmine to overcome the youth advantage for her opponent and to win a decision. That's what I think happens here. What do you think?
Sorry, I was still thinking when you said Natalia taking down and dominating. So, I'm actually I'm the same. I think the same thing. Listen, if you look at Fatima Kline, she's very talented. But she's a 115. She's better at 115. She went to 125 to get the double title in the Cage Fury Fighting Championship CFFC.
Yep,
she's good, but. Man, this is a tough task, man. Plus, short notice, 125.
Elevation, too. Like, that's going to tap her cardio. And Jasmine is like a cardio machine. Jasmine doesn't get tired, man.
I'm picking Jasmine by decision, man. I think Jasmine wins.
I think so, too. And again, the odds are going to be interesting this week. I think you'll probably see some pushback on this a little bit. You'll see a buyback on the plus money. But
Fatima's really popular prospect as well. So a lot of people will go with Fatima here. And I don't blame them because I think she's good. But at the same time, it's a tough debut, man.
She is good. And again, I watched her fights today, actually. I was just curious because I've heard a lot about her and I've seen the clips and whatever. But I thought she looked good, man. But the thing is, like, I don't know if here's the thing. Like, I watch quite a bit of regional MMA, especially when I take these prospects. A lot of these prospects will dominate the fights in the ground, right? You can do that on the regional level, but then you go to the UFC and these girls can stuff your takedowns. Then you have to stay in the feet. Then it gets dicey. And I think Jasmine has proven to be a more well-rounded fighter. She's there's some issues with her game. She's not the, fastest fighter, obviously, but again, I think she's just more polished right now at this point of her career, and she has the full camp, and she's a cardio machine at elevation, and this girl's coming on short notice, moving up in weight. I don't like those things, so I can't do it, man. Couple comments here. Octon, these things, Josh should be favorite. Joe, what's up, man? How's it going? Glad to have you here. Is she Arabic, Marcel? Kline? Do you know?
Not that I know, but yes, it's a Fatima is a Arabic name, I think. So, but I mean, it's not like maybe your parents like that name. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I know. It could be anything, right? I'm just looking to see if I can find anything quickly. I'm not seeing much at this point, but if anyone else knows anything, we could throw it in there. I'd be curious to see how she looks though in her debut. All right, I just think what was I gonna say? That Contender Series fight would have been better for her, just to get a start. But I don't blame her for taking this shot.
For sure, yeah.
She has to take it, right? So I get that. All right, guys, let's go to the next fight here. This is a fun fight, man. I think it's the prelim headliner, Marcel, if I'm not mistaken. Fan against Carl Johnson. Yeah, so I think this is one of the best fights. Someone asked earlier how many exciting fights. This is one of them. I'll tell you that right now. I think this is one of the best fights in the card. Big fan of both guys. Charles Johnson's really grown on me, Marcel. I'll say that. Like, I wasn't sure about the guy first, but he's really grown on me. He threw an amazing tweet out recently about you. You had this. He's like a picture of. I don't know who it was, but all these computer screens, like on the phone.
That was Charles Johnson.
Bro, it's so funny. So the guy's really grown on me, but I love Josh fans, so be interesting. Just want to get this comment from our boy Zach. He's in the chat. Glad to have you here, Zach. I figured you'd be here, man. Listening to the breakdown for your girl Kline. All right, let's go to this fight though. The odds for this one, fans minus 192, Johnson plus 160. Yeah, it's another interesting fight, right? Because Van was supposed to fight Ulanbekov. We both picked Ulanbekov. The fight got canceled. Now Van's got to cut weight again. Like it's a month later maybe. So I think he'll be okay. He's still really young. But again, he's facing another kind of grappler type with Charles Johnson, who he's kind of been on a roll lately. He's looked really good. I think the last couple of fights. He had that losing streak, Marcel, and then now he's on a roll. So I think it's a good matchup, a good test for Van. I actually think this is a better, more like realistic fight, to be honest, like the way it worked out, than jumping all the way to gear. So I think this is better. Van's look great though in the UFC 2-0. 3-0, excuse me. Great striker. Super young, 22 years old. I still think the ground game is a question mark. The other thing I'm curious to see, and he hasn't really shown any problems with the cardio, but I do want to see him at elevation because Johnson's going to push a hard pace in this fight. We know Johnson can go 50 minutes. Like, I'm projecting the fight to go to 3 rounds. Johnson is really, really durable. He's never been knocked out, Charles Johnson, never been finished. So I'm projecting a decision in this fight. That means Josh will have to win 2 of the 3 rounds. I think he can win the second round. Here's the thing. He always gives up the first round. That's what worries me a little bit. He gives up the first round. He usually wins the second, dominates there. And then the third round, that's where Johnson really comes strong. So that's the sketchy thing about this fight, man. I think Van can't afford to let a round slip in this fight. I think it'll be a competitive fight. The more I'm thinking about it, man, the more I think it could be like a split decision type fight. I think it could be a damage control type fight. I think Johnson will, be pushing takedowns and stuff in this fight. I'm leaning Van still. Again, the youth, what I've seen with the striking, the guy looks good, man. I'm impressed by this guy. I like this kid a lot. I believe in him. But I also feel like this is an interesting test for him. So I'm thinking it's going to be a competitive fight. Van, by a close decision, is my pick. I think it's going to be interesting. If it hits the scorecards, it's going to be really interesting. What do you think, man?
First of all, Octagon updates, 1 step from lashing out at you. Yeah, man, I feel the same way, man. Again, I think it's a close fight. Charles Johnson has looked good in his last 2 fights against Hatley and against Maxum.
Yep.
Maxum could have gone the other way as well. It was a close fight, but actually, same for Hatley. But he had some, sometimes you push harder, and he pushed hard in those fights, and he got the decision. So it's good. If you look at Josh Van loses always the first round, because he's like looking how he can finish the guy or can handle the guy. I think Van wins, but it will be a close fight, man. I mean, like you said, it's screams split decision over this one. I don't see either one finishing each other. Going with Van by decision, more upside, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Johnson again wins a close fight here. Which
I think it's possible. The more we think about it, that's the thing. Like he's never been finished. So again, Josh gives up the first round a lot of his fights. That's the worry. He's going to win the second round, pretty sure. The third round is going to be sketchy. So it's a weird fight, and it's also short notice too. So it's kind of a weird one. The more we talk about it, man, the more I just
I actually want to switch to Johnson. Yeah,
I know, but no, I'm still going to go with Van because again, the upside, like you said, right?
I'm not sure.
That's the word, but I will say, I wouldn't bet on this fight. I don't think. I think I would just pass on this one.
I might be a bitch on Switch lately. I don't know yet.
I think there's some interest. I think the card is some interesting matchmaking on this card. There's again, there's a few like Santos that I'm pretty confident in, but this fight, I'm not as confident. So
Knox, you always got Johnson, dude.
By the way, this is a good point with Knudsen. She should have got signed in, and well, she eventually did, but she didn't. She shouldn't have had to go through. To be passed on. Dana's like, well, you're not ready for the. And then they brought her in. Then she's 2-0 now in the UFC. So was she ready? I think she was. Go to the next fight here. Marcel's boy Cody Brundage taking on Abdul Razak Alhassan, opening up the main card, I think. And I don't think this fight goes 3 rounds, especially at elevation. I'll say that. No surprise here. Abdul Razak Alhassan is the favorite, -155, Brundage +130. But you know what, Marcel? And I think this might be a first for me. I don't think I've even picked him in to win a fight in the UFC yet, but I'm going with Cody Brundage for I think the first time ever to win a fight in the UFC. I haven't been very good at picking his fights. I'll say that because he's right now 4-6, 4-5. No, it's 4-5. Yeah, in the UFC.
Can you say that again? What did you say? Okay.
What? I'm not good at picking. What is that? Oh,
yeah, okay. I'm filming you. Okay, what
you're
did
gonna
you say
send to Cody? Is that what you're gonna do?
No, I just kidding. Of course not. No, but I was just like, you never pick Cody. Just
I never picked him. I don't think I picked him yet. I don't think I have. I really don't. I'm looking at his record. Did I? I don't, dude. I didn't. I haven't picked him in any of his fights, so I've been wrong on half of them. Now the Amal Kuhn fight was kind of weird, right? But the other ones, yeah. I mean, he beat me. Anyways, Abdul Razak Alhassan. I know he trains. I think he's doing some training in Denver, right? Isn't he? Pretty sure.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, right? His cardio is the problem, but that should help him training pound for pound.
Probably.
Looking right now, he's training Razak Alhassan and Muslim Salikhov are training in elevation with Neil Magny and who else is there? A couple other guys. I mean, that's good. I like that. But again, I don't know how much translates to the fight because he's still going to go out there and go for one round. Like, look at his record, Marcel. He's basically one round or bust. Like, he's only won one fight out of the first round in his whole career. So I don't trust him. That's the problem. I don't trust Cody, but I think Cody's got the better conditioning. I think Cody's a better grappler. Cody also trains at elevation. He's a Factory X. So he's going to have good cardio. We already know he does. The problem with Cody is I kind of think it's up here sometimes, Marcel, because I think he is a talented guy, but he just doesn't put it all together for what I don't know what the problem is. I don't really
and he knows that. Yeah.
I know he does because, dude, remember the Zach Reese fight? That was fucking impressive. Like, and the Trayshawn Gore fight, that was impressive. Even
but then go back to the Dumas one.
Yeah, the Dumas fight was terrible. It was horrible. Dude, the William Knight fight in the Contender Series was horrible. I remember that fight. I was like, man, this guy's never going to the UFC. This guy's terrible. And he made it to the UFC. He's won fights. So, good for him. I kind of like him in this fight, though, because I trust him a bit more as the fight goes on. Again, I know a lot of his finishes come early, but I think as the fight goes on, he'll have the advantage. So he's going to have to survive a crazy first round. And he's been knocked out, so it's sketchy as hell. But I kind of think he can do it if he doesn't, mentally give up. I think he can kind of come back here and win the fight. So I'll go with Abdul to win the first round and not to get the finish, and then Cody to come back in the second and submit him. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. I'll go with the underdog. But, again, it's just hard to trust this guy. First time picking him, guys. We'll see what happens. What are you thinking, man?
Adam lookalike. Can we get Adam back on the show? Because, what is this? He's picking Brundage. Right? Yeah, I'm exactly the same read, man. I think that that Brundage has to watch out for the knockout with Abdul Razak Alhassan in the first round, like everybody, But Alhassan, man, after 3.5-4 minutes, he normally gasses, and I think Brundage takes over. I think Brundage subs him in the second round. So you go either
the same read. Holy shit.
You go either with the first round knockout for Abdul Razak Alhassan, or you're going with Brundage submission, or either decision in the later round. So I'm picking Brundage submission second round.
Yeah, I would look at maybe Brundage by the submission prop, and then maybe the round props too, guys. I would just take a look at it. Again, he is the underdog here. Probably get some decent plus money on it. It's risky because he's not that great of a fighter, but Abdul Razak Alhassan, I think, is flawed, and I think Cody can win the fight. So we'll see what happens. All right, we'll go to the next fight here. We got C-Rod, Christian Rodriguez taking on Julian Juicy J Erosa. This is a fun fight. I think you mentioned that earlier, right? You said this is one of the better fights. Yeah. Christian Rodriguez is favored here. He is -205, Erosa plus 170. Yeah, I'm taking Christian Rodriguez. I mean, listen, Erosa is you know what? Erosa's had a much longer career in the UFC than I ever expected. He's come back to the UFC a couple times, right? So he's bounced around. Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time was terrible. He's getting knocked out every time, and then since he's come back, he's looked really good at times. I mean, he's had some really good fights, man.
And he saved his job against Woodson, right?
Yeah. So his first run in the UFC, he was 0-3, and since he's come back, he is 6-3. So overall, he's 6-6. But again, 6-3, and he had some good wins, right? Like the Wadu's a good win, Palmos is a good win, Landwehr's a really good win, Woodson's a good win. Jourdain doesn't look as good now, but it was good, and then Jamal Emmers is a good win. So, this guy is he's proven time and time again that you can't completely count him out because he's skilled. He's skilled. He's got knockout power. He's got submission ability. But I still think his chin is really bad, and I still think that he can be potentially outworked in this fight by Rodriguez, who's just like a little pit bull, dude. The guy's a beast. I mean, he's looked good. Like, I don't think he won his last fight. I'll say that right now. I don't think he should have beat Isaac. I won't agree with these people that were saying, "Oh, damage control." Like, he didn't do any damage in that fight, really. Like, it wasn't more than the control time and the effective grappling of Isaac, in my opinion, to get that win. But the other fights were good, Simon and Rosas, right? So, obviously, this is at 145. His last fight was too. At this division, he won't have that same edge that he had, like when he fought Rosas or whatever at bantamweight, where he missed weight. But it's hard to bet against him too, with what 4-1 record now in the UFC. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's some possibility of an upset here because Erosa, like I said, very skilled. Maybe he catches this guy's neck or something. But again, this guy's never been finished, so I think it's gonna be hard to finish him. And I think he can outwork Erosa and kind of grind a decision now, which is kind of crazy to say because Erosa gets finished in a lot of his fights. But I think that C-Rock can grind out a decision. Maybe he can knock him out. I don't know. I mean, if you look at who's knocked him out, it's been some pretty powerful guys for the most part. So I don't know. Possible, I guess. Just because Erosa's been knocked out 9 times, 7 times. Ugh, scary. But again, Rodriguez not really a knockout artist. So that's what makes the matchup interesting. If he was like a pure knockout artist, like that Fernando Padilla guy, then yeah, I mean, you can pick him all day, but it's a little different fight. So anyways, what do you think, Ange?
Yeah, man, I'm also picking C-Rod here, in my opinion. You know, I think Erosa's decent, you know, but I think C-Rod has, again, more upside in this one. The height advantage will be pretty huge for Erosa, I think, man. I mean, C-Rod is not a really big guy, and Erosa is actually pretty big for the weight class.
Yeah.
Still picking C-Rod by decision here. I think he wins the fight. I think he's better on the ground, in my opinion. Stand up, maybe, but I don't think he's going to stand and bang with Erosa or whatever. I think he tries to get
grapple.
Yeah.
That's the thing, 6 inches of height and 3.5 of reach. I mean, you know, he's going to be a size disadvantage in this weight class. But again, I still think the guy's pretty good. And the Isaac Bulgarian guy's a really good grappler, you know. So I know, again, I don't think he won that fight, but the fact he did on paper is pretty impressive. All right, we'll go to the next right here, guys. We got, this is an interesting one for this card. We got Gabriel Bonfim taking on Ange Loosa. So Bonfim, known kind of as a guy that is a one-rounder bust, right? Now he's going to fight at altitude. That's, I think, the UFC trying to test his cardio and see if he's got something past the first round. And the odds for this one, Bonfim is I think he's the biggest. Yeah, he's the biggest favorite in the card, Marcel. He's minus 395, and Ange Loosa's plus 310. I wouldn't bet on this guy at minus 395. I don't know what you think. I'll get your thoughts in a sec. I wouldn't do it. I have to pick this guy to win because he's super talented. Obviously, his submission game is ridiculous, but I don't trust his cardio, and Ange Loosa's got, you know, decent cardio and conditioning. The reason I can't pick Ange Loosa here, even though I do think he could be a live dog, especially if the fight goes past the first round, just because the fight with Brian Battle was so bad, dude. I can't pick a guy that basically quit that fight. You know, he didn't want to continue, took the easy way out. Now the UFC's giving him maybe an arguably, I don't know if it's a tougher fight, but a more dangerous fight in some ways, potentially. It's kind of crazy though that he's fighting before Brian Battle does. Isn't that kind of crazy, Marcel? I don't understand that at all. I guess they haven't fought Battle, or maybe Battle's injured. I don't know, but I'll pick Bonfim by submission. I think everyone will. I just wouldn't lay minus 400 on him. I wouldn't do it. What do you think?
I think Bonfim gets a finish in the first round, man. I think he'll be the first one to finish Loosa. I think Bonfim has something to prove, you know, and I think he will. I'm going with him. Fuck it, man. I'll pick a submission here. I'm going first.
Well, yeah, I'm picking it too. I think everyone will. I mean, that's kind of like on paper, that's what should happen. Odds, I don't think the odds will be good. I think you might have to lay juice for a submission. You might have to pay minus 150 or something.
That's what she said, yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? I think the odds are a little hefty, personally. So, all right, we'll go to the next fight here. We got, this is a fun one, man. Short notice fight, but we got Drew Dober taking our boy, Jean Silva, who I picked to win at UFC 305 in Charles Jourdain. And I was shocked Marcel didn't pick him. I was shocked. Shocked, as they say. Anyways, do we have odds for this one? Let me see. Dober. We do have odds.
Dober's favorite, right?
Sorry, guys. My eyes just really.
Adam was really happy to see me today, so. Yeah.
No, they just started watering up. I don't know what happened there. I got.
I know I'm such a cutie. I know.
No. I put the fan on and it went right in my eye. Yeah. Sorry, guys. All right.
Yeah, I love you too, Adam.
Thank you. Dober opened as the favorite, though, and now it's flipped. And now Silva's a slight favorite. Minus 115, Dober minus 105. Listen, I picked the guy 2 weeks ago. I think he's obviously really good. I mean, he's dangerous. But, again, this is kind of like the other for Jasmine. Like, it feels disrespectful to me. It really does. Especially with Drew Dober. He's still, like, a good fighter. It's not like this guy sucks. He's still good. Drew Dober's a really good fighter. I think he's one of the best fighters in the weight class or is not ranked. I don't think he's ranked anymore, right? He's...
just outside the top 15.
Yeah, he's, you know, I think does he have the most knockout wins at lightweight? I think he does.
Yeah, I
right?
think he does. Yeah.
I mean, the guy's an absolute beast of a knockout artist. We know his ground game's not amazing, but he's improved it over the years. The takedown defense, anyways. He trains at Elevation in Denver. Obviously, it's his hometown. He wanted to stay on this card. He is a beast. He's going to be there for 3 rounds. Jean Silva, again, you know, looked great 2 weeks ago against Charles Jourdain on a long win streak. I really like this guy. I think this is a much harder fight, personally. Like Dober's more of a dog. Sorry?
Also a weight class up.
And a weight class up. I mean, he's on short notice moving back to 155. Now, he did miss weight at 45, right? So he didn't really make weight for that fight. But at the same time, and he's fought lightweight before, so I'll say that. But at the same time, guys, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just don't think he should be favored to win this fight. I think Dober's still good. If Dober was like washed, I would get it, but I don't think he is. I know he lost to Bacano, and Favola did knock him out, which was, the first time he's been knocked out, or first time in the UFC. He got knocked out years ago, I think he was like. But I still think Dober's good. So, dude, I'm going with Dober. I mean, I think Dober should be favored. I think the odds makers open as the favorite. I think they were right. I don't agree with this. Now we'll see what happens, because John Silva might go there and knock him out too, because John Silva was good. But to me, this screams recency bias. And again, I'm the guy who picked John Silva, and everyone else was calling me nuts, and he won as a dog. So we'll see what happens, Marcel. But I think Dober's a good dog here. What do you think?
Yeah, man, but it's not. People don't call you nuts because of that pick, but because you are nuts. It's the same like me, we are nuts. But listen, man, this is a weight class up. This is a much bigger step up than he fought already, and I still believe in Dober, man. I think the dude, listen, he got touched up by Bobby Green, but it was fucking Bobby Green, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and he still knocked him out. So, I mean, Dober is good. I'm picking him, man. It's not like it's a short notice fight, I know, but it's not like he wasn't in camp. You know what I mean? He was in camp to fight Mike Davis, which, in my opinion, would be a much tougher opponent.
I think so too. I think so too, and I don't know. I think they should do the Salikhov fight. I think that would have made more sense. I don't really understand why he didn't get that fight. I guess they couldn't come to agreement on the money or something. But yeah, Dober's we have a consensus dog here. Dober.
Yeah, definitely picking Dober here.
So we have 2 consensus dogs, I guess. I should have mentioned earlier. We have 3. We have 3, Marcel.
We have Dober, Jasmine,
and Brundage.
Oh yeah. And I have myself. I have Petroski.
So Marcel's 4, and I have 3 dogs. All right, we have 2 more fights. We'll see if we have another dog here. Maybe not. We got co-main event here. I think it's co-main event, right? So
yeah,
two older guys here, but it should be a fun striking fight, I would assume. Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on Muslim Salikhov. Santiago is the favorite, as you'd expect. -198. Salikhov +164. Yeah, I think it's going to be, again, a competitive striking battle, because, that's the way these guys fight. But, again, it's only Ponzinibbio's only a few years younger, I guess. He's 37.
Yeah, Salikhov is 40.
Muslim's 40, right? I can't, again, guys, the more often than not, if you fade the 40-plus fighters, they often lose. That's just a fact. Father Time is, really gets these fighters. I know Muslim's the king of kung fu, and he's had some really crazy knockouts in the UFC, but I also feel like he's on the decline right now. I kind of feel like his chin's going a bit. They're both coming off 3 or 4 losses in their last 4 fights, so they're both kind of struggling. But I think Ponzinibbio to me has been more competitive in his fights, much more competitive in my opinion. I still think he's got it a little bit. I don't think he's like a contender by any means, but I still think he's like a guy that's like borderline top 15 for like a couple, maybe like a year or 2 more. Just doesn't fight that often, right? So, yeah, I got to go with Ponzinibbio. I think he's the rightful favorite. I think he wins a decision. Maybe he knocks him out. Maybe he knocks him out. Again, we know Muslim's training at elevation now, but I don't know. I will say that Ponzinibbio typically has pretty good cardio. So we know he can go 3 hard. I don't know if Muslim can at this point. We'll see. But, yeah, I'll take Ponzinibbio, decision or knockout. What do you think?
It's like 2 guys who like to stand, who like to bang. I always like Ponzinibbio. I think he's a fun fighter to watch. Got injured at the worst possible pretty much never made the top 10 because of that injury. I feel now he's a little bit past his prime. Yeah. But same goes for Salikhov. Salikhov was also a little bit late in the UFC. He's always sitting to. I think he did Wushu Sanda, right? And
I was gonna say you made a great point though. It's sad because, dude, he was on such a roll, Ponzinibbio, but he knocked out Neil Magny. He had the main event. I think it was in Argentina, was it not? I think it was. He was on top of his career, and then he got sick, right, and injured, and he just never recovered from that. So
he never reached his full potential.
He needs to win over Sean Strickland. I forgot. I forgot about that. To be honest with you, it's been so long, right? It was almost 10. It was 9 years ago. So he's a guy I've always liked. Though I remember when he made his debut, even back in the day, I thought he was going to be a good fighter, and he's been one.
It's always like the only Argentine on Tough Brazil. And he made the final, but I think he couldn't fight the final because he was injured or something. But good fighter. I always liked him. Salikhov has some spectacular kicks, but his ground game is pretty suspect. Same goes for Ponzinibbio, to be honest, man. But at the same time, I think Ponzinibbio is more complete. I'm picking Ponzinibbio here by decision. I hope it will be an interesting fight. But, man, at elevation, I don't know, But, picking decision Ponzinibbio here. Maybe finish.
Yeah, so I'm with you on that one. All right, we finally arrived, guys.
Let's go.
Main event of the evening. Rose Namajunas taking on Tracy Cortez. Obviously, this was supposed to be a different fight. Macy Barber was supposed to fight Rose. Who were you picking in Macy Barber and Rose?
Ooh, it's a difficult one, man, to be honest.
That was a tougher one to pick, I think.
Yeah, that's a difficult one.
I think Barber could have won the fight. I think she was on such a roll, but now she's really sick, and I don't like she could. Hopefully, she doesn't pull up on Zanibia where she never recovers. Hopefully not, right? Because
didn't sound good. Didn't sound good.
Didn't sound good at all. But you never know. I mean, she's still a young person, and
True.
When you're young, sometimes you don't have that life experience to know like how serious something is. But at the same time, I mean, it sounds bad. So, I hope she feels better because I think Macy's good, man. She's a good fighter. We do have another fight, though. We have Rose against Tracy. And obviously, the UFC is going to see how good Tracy Cortez is, but Rose is the favorite, minus 225, Tracy plus 185. The question really, Marcel, I mean, there's only one question to ask. Can Tracy take down Rose and win 3 of 5 rounds? I don't think so. I don't think so. Especially on – I know she was trained for a fight next week, but this is different. This is elevation, right? It's different. Again, Rose is another one of these Denver fighters. Like she'll be fine. Rose never had a problem with her gas. Rose can go 5 rounds easy. I mean, this is her sleep. So I know Rose will do well at 5. I don't know about Tracy. This is a big step up for Tracy, man. Like her best win at this point is Jasmine, who is an underdog on this card against the newcomer. So, or it's actually Blanchfield, but I mean,
sorry, man.
I know, but I know you don't agree with that decision.
No, I'm such a kid. You said Rose never had the problem with gas.
Oh God,
I'm such a kid. I'm sorry.
No, but in all seriousness, like I'm looking at her record again. What's her name? Tracy. Like Aaron's best win by far, right? But again, a lot of people didn't, especially you, didn't think she won. And then you look at her fights in UFC. Like the only good win she has really is Jasmine, isn't it? I mean, Gato's okay, I guess, but like Agapova is not that good. Melo is not good. Egger's not good. Kish is not. Like these are not good wins. These are not really good wins. Do you think the UFC's been protecting her? Do you think she's been protecting you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because why do you think the UFC put her against Maverick this time on? And it was a prelim. It was supposed to be a prelim. So
what are they waiting for, though? Like, she's 30 years old. Like, let's see how good she is. Now we are. Listen, Rose has not, looked amazing at flyweight. I'll say that. She's 1-1. But at the same time, she's been competitive. Like she obviously beat Hebos. I thought she clearly won that fight. Some people thought it was close, but I thought she clearly won. The Furo fight was 2-1. If it was a 5-round fight, who knows? Especially after Furo just destroyed Blanchfield. I mean, like that loss doesn't look as bad. I don't think, right?
I think, like.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be something like. Remember when Paige Van Zandt was supposed to fight Joanne Wood, and then Joanne Wood pulls out, and it's Paige Van Zandt against Rose Namajunas.
Yeah,
and Paige was actually the favorite, I think, coming into that fight.
Yeah, I remember I picked Rose as a dog. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah? Now you got Paige Van Zandt as an underdog in Power Slap. So, anyways, I mean, you're picking Rose, I guess, or
listen, man. Tracy obviously a better fighter than Paige Van Zandt. Don't get me wrong, but I'm picking Rose, man. I never listen, man. Tracy's okay, but I've never been super high on her, So, I mean. I feel like a lot of Sims are really high on her, but I mean, if I look at her fights, there's a lot of wrestling, but it's not like really like it's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of wrestling. She's okay, she's decent, but I think against the better competition, she's gonna fail. I'm picking Rose here. I think Rose wins the decision, man.
And you'll definitely see some people picking Tracy this week because of the wrestling, and I get that. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna hold.
I agree fully with Knox here. What he says.
Let's see. Yeah, but we also have West Coast. He's picking in Tracy.
Yeah.
What's going on, man? Lead Rose by decision. Although she wants to prove she's actually back now. That's what she's telling you, Zach. Yeah, I think that's my pick too. Rose by decision. That's what I'm leaning here. She'll win 3 of the 5 rounds. I think it's going to be like. I'm not saying it's a blowout by any means. I think 2-1 is about accurate. Like,
I hope it's a fucking first round stoppage. Is like the.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I hope it's a fucking first round stoppage.
That'd be nice. I just don't.
7 a.m. local time.
I don't see that happening. But I was going to say, like, yeah, I think minus 225. That's like like a slightly inflated price, but just accurate in most ways. Because I would say 2-1 is accurate for this fight, around 2-1. So yeah, I mean, if she gets to like 3-1, which I don't think she will, but like that would be a little bit hefty. But at this point, I'm going with Rose, beat Tracy. So yeah, okay. So I mean, we got Ghost here. What's up, man? After we broke down the card, are you more hyped for it? Same.
I mean, I've been through this card like 2 to 5 times already this weekend. I also have to write about it. So I mean,
I guess I'm a little bit more excited about it as we went through it.
Of course, it's because you see me. That's the main thing.
No, because we have Luana on the card. No, but because we have some good prospects. We have Josh Van. We have Luana. We have Christian Rodriguez. We have Dober and Silva. That's a fun fight. Like there's some fun fights on this card. But again, I just think it's for if it's an Apex card, it's perfect. Actually, I would think like this is a perfect. But for fans in an arena, I think it could have used another big fight. I really do think so.
I agree.
And again, we love the UFC. We like to be honest on the show too. I think them going to these cities like Louisville when they brought Cannonier and Imavov, again, really good fighters, a good fight, but you would hope they had something a little better for a gate that I think did $2.5 million or something. Like they're going to make a lot of money at this event too. Go ahead.
They went to St. Louis with Louis Nascimento.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. Like here's the thing: the UFC is taking advantage of people. Like, and this is something I was talking about with someone. It's still kind of like the post-COVID world, and people are still like looking for things to do, and they're looking to spend money and get out and do things and go to events. And I'm doing that too. And I know you want to get out too, right? So a lot of you guys probably. So
fucking caveman, dude.
Yeah, well, okay, but they're taking advantage of that. I think a little bit. I think the UFC is. I think they got to make a little bit of a better effort in some of these cards. That's all I'm going to say to give them better main events. But again, I will say this, and I made this point a few times, Marcel. They stacked the deck with 300, and that's all those fights that were on the prelims that could have been 5-round main events. Now you see what the problem is, right? So that's my thoughts. That's my final thoughts on this. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll watch it. We talked about the tickets a little bit earlier, man. You obviously missed it, but that's okay. If you go back, you can see the tickets weren't that crazy, but again, there's no marquee fight on the card. You have how many ranked fighters on this card? You have Rose, you have Tracy, and that it?
Let me think.
You have 2 ranked fighters on the whole card?
Yeah, Dober is also not ranked.
Oh, no, Jasmine's ranked.
Oh, yeah, of course, he's 15, yeah.
So, 3?
Yeah.
Wait, Dober's ranked? He is?
No.
So you have Jasmine in the 2 main event, 3 women fighters.
Yeah, Jasmine is 15 knocks, yeah.
So you have 3 ranked fighters on the whole card. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I just think they're stretching a bit thin.
Plus the thing that Jasmine against Araujo, which was originally was 2 ranked fighters, and they were both on the prelims.
Yeah, okay. Well, you would have had 4, so I'll give them that. But again, I'm just happy the fights are back this week. We obviously had an off week, and we didn't talk about this earlier, but last night, obviously, dude, I'd rather see fights than not. So I get it. Did you watch Masvidal Diaz? Did you end up watching it or no?
No. Listen, man, that was 7:30 a.m.
No, it's totally understandable. I don't blame you at all. So I'll tell you what I did. So I wasn't planning on even watching this, to be honest with you, but I tuned in just because I was like, all right, I'm not doing a lot right now. I tuned in. The first fight I watched was the Sean Garcia fight, which is Ryan Garcia's brother. I don't follow boxing that closely. I didn't even know he had a brother. That fight was actually pretty good, to be honest with you. And then, dude, Anthony Pettis got destroyed by Chris Avila. That is unreal, eh?
Yeah, crazy.
Dude, what a fall, eh? From Anthony Pettis. He looked, God, I don't want to say washed up, but he didn't look good. And Chris Avila was so bad in the UFC. For him to go in there and dominate Pettis like this was surprising. I'll say that. And the odds obviously reflected it. I think the problem was, the card started at 10 Eastern, I want to say. And, dude, they had 6 fights in the main card, and they were talking between the fights. All the Bellator guys like Josh Thompson and all these guys were just talking and talking. I'm just like, fuck, I just want to watch the fight.
So annoying.
Dude, and then the co-main event went to 10 rounds, right? It was just Shane Mosley's son, and he looked good. I mean, obviously, he looked really good and he dominated the fight, but I was starting to fall asleep, and I'm like, holy fuck, am I going to make it for the main event? Dude, I'll be honest with you guys. I made it halfway through 5 rounds, and I passed out, and I woke up. Because my laptop was on my chest, and fell asleep, right, lying in my bed. I woke up, and Diaz was getting his hand raised, and I was a little surprised because at that point, Masvidal, I think, was laying some really good shots. But I've kind of looked at people what they thought, and it seemed like it was one of these like volume versus damage kind of fights. A lot of people thought Masvidal should have won the fight. They won a majority decision, so it was close, obviously. But I mean, again, I didn't see the final 5 rounds, so I can't give my thoughts on the decision. Marcel, I was just gonna say though, like the main event started at 1 a.m. my time, so that was 7 a.m. That's just too late, you know. That's too late. So I did end up watching it, guys. I don't know if you guys saw it, but you can give your thoughts on it. I'll read them out, the comments. I did see the paydays, Marcel. I think it was like 500 for Nate, I want to say, and 300 for Jorge. Or I might have them flipped. I did think it was funny. Remember Jimmy Lennon Jr.? He used to do Strikeforce.
The classy one, they say, yeah.
The Demolition Man, Alistair
Overeem.
Yeah, I actually liked him, to be honest. I think he's a good announcer, but he fucked up bad because he's like the former UFC lightweight champion Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. I was like, what is he talking about? Like, I guess he was supposed to say BMF title, I guess, and then he said lightweight championship. So people on Twitter were like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Same as that account who got the how do you say that like a sponsorship with Hamdi Abdul Wahab on Instagram. They say like the UFC heavyweight champion. It's like, huh?
Anyways, yeah, you know what? Like again, I actually think like it was good. I was gonna say like I'm just glad these guys got paid. You know, especially Nate. I mean, Nate is a dog. You know, but it was just too late in the night. We'll see if they do what they do. I mean, they're 1-1 now technically, right? With 1 in MMA, 1 in boxing, but I don't know. Do you care about Masvidal's fights anymore? Do you?
I'm just not really interested in boxing at all. You know,
I
maybe like the even the top fighters with the Furies, the Joshuas, and man, I mean, it's the same for me with kickboxing. It's fun. It's okay to watch, but I'm not as invested as in MMA. I'm sorry.
Well, what's his name? Anthony Joshua wants. He said to Pereira, he's like, you should do boxing. And Pereira said something like, I respect you, and like I'm 37 years old. Too long. It's too late for me to make a run or something.
Mm-hmm.
But he's interested in super fights. I don't blame him, Marcel. I think boxing. The one thing I would say about boxing, it seems like it pays more for these main event guys. That's what it seems like to me. Now, Pereira's obviously doing well in the UFC, and he deserves it because he's basically saving the whole promotion at this point. But I would say like Pereira. And from what we're hearing, he made a couple million. I think he's underpaid. I think he should be getting paid $20 million a fight. Am I crazy? I think he should. I think he deserves it.
I mean, right? I'm okay with it, man. I'm okay with it. You know, I'm always for the fighters making more money. So
I'm just saying, like, he's saving the company at this point.
He did.
He saved
twice
2 of their events. Yeah. 3, I would say, maybe, right? 295, 300, and 303.
Yeah, but actually 295.
Well, 300 would, I think, because of 300, it would have sold either way, but you know, anyways, the guys he's their star right now, obviously. And a couple other comments. So guys saw the video of the Till brawl. You saw that the Darren Till thing. Yeah, Ryan Garcia's. Something's wrong with that guy, dude. Something's really wrong with that dude. Chris did say the same thing that Jeremy Stevens. He did. He's a good boxer, man. Like I gotta give to Chris Avila credit because he was not a very good MMA fighter, Marcel, but he's really made a career in boxing.
Yeah.
And it just shows you it's such a different skill set. Because if this was MMA, Pettis would have shot for a takedown. He probably would have got it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But Hank wants both. Ankalaev wants to fight. Did you guys watch one? I didn't see it. I'll be honest, I don't really watch one championship. It's nothing against it, but it's always on like Friday morning and I'm just doing something else.
For me, the problem with one is like, listen, I always watched it before, but now they're going to mix MMA with submission grappling, with this, with that. You got like 10 sort of disciplines and a lot of Muay Thai. Yeah. Listen, it's fun. But for me, as a real MMA guy liking to see fights MMA, you know, I'm not really into. I know a lot of people like those combined events with MMA, Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, wrestling, submission, grappling. Not one of those guys. If I want to see an MMA event, I want to see like at least like 95% MMA fights. You know what I mean? And not like 10% and then the other thing. I know one does that, and there's an audience for it, which is good, you know, but doesn't really attract me a lot as of lately, you know, which it did like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yep. No, I understand. All right. A couple other comments we'll take, but we're going to do a short podcast just doing the fight announcements. We'll do like 10 minutes. Well, I'm going to end this in a second, Mark. So let me get these last 2 comments, though, okay?
Sure.
Go on. I don't know. I mean, it looks like BSD is the main event with McKenna.
So I got told from both sides it's going to be main event. But the thing is, like, one of the two sides, I'm not going to say who, was a little bit hesitant because they were like, yeah, but what if the UFC somehow gets Gan involved in the event? Then they're definitely going to push him to the main event. But they signed it for 5 rounds to be a main event. So it's the main event right now.
No worries. Thank you for giving us the update. This is Zach. One championship MMA offering is terrible. They should just be a Muay Thai company occasionally.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Zach's a smart guy. I mean, he gets it. You know, he watches. Zach, you watch pretty much everything. Let's be honest. Like, this guy knows fucking about every promotion. So I trust his opinion. Tristan says Aberg Rasulov guy boring. We couldn't win the belt again. I don't know enough about their guys. I think you know who he is. This guy, Rasulov or something. You know him?
Ali Bek Rasulov. I can't remember, but I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm not. I'm really
Turkish guy. Yeah,
I'm really missing a lot as of lately for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but
he fought that guy. Is this the guy Eddie Alvarez fought? Right? Is that the guy?
Ooh.
Yeah. That Ray Yun-ok guy.
Okay.
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay, guy.
He's okay. Yeah. So
By the way,
I'll be honest. I don't know enough about him, Tristan. I really don't. Like, I don't know how good their fighters really are. Like, I know there's that one guy that's like, God, didn't he have a few belts? Is it the Dutch guy or he lost the belt? Wiener de Ritter?
Yeah, he lost. Yeah.
Who's the other guy now? He has like 3 belts. What's the guy? Russian guy?
Oh, Malakin, Anatoly Malakin.
Yeah. He's good, right?
Yeah.
Do you think he'll go to UFC? Do you think it's possible?
And there goes it again.
What happened?
My camera. Oh God, of course.
Don't worry, but we'll end the show in a second. But do you think that guy will end up going to UFC, or do you think they're just going to keep him? He's got him under contract, obviously.
I mean, I hear a lot of people are afraid that he might don't go through the testing. You know what I mean? But
yeah, that too. I understand. All right, a couple other comments, guys, really quick. No worries, Tristan. And then we'll take this last comment. We're going to do a really quick podcast, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Fight announcements. One is where the free line for the streak events are in May. I used to watch Pride, so can't say too much. All right. We're at just past the hour marker. I'm gonna end this podcast. But like I said, I'm gonna start a new one up here. We'll do some fight announcements. So if you join late, go back and listen to it. We picked a few dogs. We had 3 consensus dogs, and we're really good with those. So definitely go back and listen to the preview. If you missed it, just give me a sec, guys. I'm gonna tweet out the fight announcements, and we'll do that with you guys, and we'll end or something like that. All right, cool. Give me a second here.